as intriguing question or statement. Can a janitor really become a millionaire? This is the story of a man who did just that, defying all odds. This video explores the extraordinary journey of Ben Carter, a working-class American who turned a dead-end job into unimaginable wealth. The fluorescent lights of the Evergreen Innovations office building hummed, casting a sterile glow on the deserted cubicles. It was after 10 p.m., but for Ben Carter, the night was just beginning. He pushed his cleaning cart, its wheels squeaking softly on the polished linoleum, a familiar soundtrack to his solitary routine. Ben was a janitor, and a meticulous one at that. Each desk was wiped clean, each trash can emptied and relined, each stray paperclip returned to its rightful place. He took pride in his work, believing that even the most humble task deserved his full attention. Please subscribe for more videos. Ben's life was defined by routine and frugality. He packed his lunch every day, usually a simple sandwich and an apple. His clothes were well worn but always clean, mended with careful stitches by his own hand. Every penny counted, and Ben tracked his expenses meticulously in a small, worn notebook he carried in his pocket. It wasn't that he was miserly, he simply valued security. Growing up in a working-class family, he had learned the importance of saving and the fragility of financial stability. His parents had instilled in him a strong work ethic and a deep respect for the value of a dollar. They'd taught him that hard work was the only way to get ahead, and Ben had taken that lesson to heart. Tonight, however, the usual quiet of the office was punctuated by a palpable tension. Ben noticed it immediately. The air felt thick with anxiety, different from the usual end-of-day weariness. As he approached the CEO's office, he heard a muffled voice coming from within. He paused, not wanting to intrude, but the urgency in the tone caught his attention. Sarah Chen, the CEO of Evergreen Innovations, was a woman known for her sharp intellect and unwavering determination. Ben had observed her from a distance, noticing her late nights and the furrowed brow that seemed permanently etched on her face. Tonight, her voice was strained, barely above a whisper. "The investor backed out at the last minute," she said, her voice tight with barely suppressed panic. "I don't know what else to do. If we don't secure funding by the end of the month, we'll have to shut down." Ben froze, his hand hovering over the doorknob. He knew Evergreen Innovations was a local tech company, employing many people from the small town. He'd seen their families in the grocery store, at the park, their lives intertwined with the company's fate. The thought of the company closing, of those people losing their jobs, stirred something within him. He quietly continued his cleaning, his ears straining to catch snippets of the conversation. Sarah spoke of dwindling resources, missed deadlines, and the pressure to innovate in a rapidly changing market. It was a desperate plea, and Ben couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for the woman behind the closed door. As he moved through the office, cleaning desks and emptying bins, Ben's observant eyes took in details he usually overlooked. He noticed the prototypes gathering dust in the corner, the innovative software programs minimized on the computer screens, the whiteboards filled with complex equations and diagrams. He saw the dedication in the tired eyes of the employees, the passion they poured into their work, even as the company teetered on the brink of collapse. He noticed that the technology was actually quite innovative. It was clear that the team was using cutting-edge technology in their work. However, he could see that it was underutilized. It seemed that the company wasn't able to translate the value of this technology to actual returns in the market. He saw the dedicated but demoralized employees. He could tell that they were passionate about their work, but the anxiety of the company's future was weighing heavily on them. Intrigued and deeply concerned, Ben found himself thinking about Evergreen Innovations long after his shift ended. He usually went straight home, ate a simple dinner, and read a book before bed. Tonight, however, he couldn't shake the image of Sarah Chen's stressed face and the hushed desperation in her voice. He walked to the local library, a place he frequented to save on internet costs. He spent hours researching evergreen innovations online, poring over articles, news reports, and financial statements. He learned about their groundbreaking technology, their struggles to secure funding, and the competitive landscape of the tech industry. He discovered that Evergreen Innovations held several valuable patents for their technology. He also saw that the company had a strong team of engineers and developers. However, he also noticed that their marketing and sales efforts seemed to be lacking. They had a great product, but they weren't able to get it into the hands of customers. The more he learned, the more convinced he became that Evergreen Innovations had potential. He saw an overlooked opportunity, a hidden gem buried beneath layers of financial difficulties and mismanagement. He believed that with the right guidance and a bit of luck, the company could be saved. The thought lingered in his mind, growing stronger with each passing day. He knew it was a long shot, a crazy idea, but he couldn't ignore the feeling that he could do something to help. He thought about his savings, the money he had carefully accumulated over years of hard work and sacrifice. It was his safety net, his security blanket, the culmination of his parents' teachings and his own unwavering dedication. Investing it in a struggling tech company was a huge risk, a gamble that could wipe out everything he had worked for. But the thought of those employees losing their jobs, of the community losing a valuable asset, weighed heavily on his conscience. He knew he had to do something. He spent the next few days wrestling with his decision, torn between his ingrained frugality and his growing conviction. He reread the financial statements, analyzed the market trends, and weighed the potential risks and rewards. He even visited the Evergreen Innovations website again, studying their products and services, trying to understand their business model. Finally, after days of agonizing deliberation, Ben made up his mind. He would invest in Evergreen Innovations. It was a calculated risk, a leap of faith, but he believed in the company, in its potential, and in the people who worked there. He knew it was a gamble, but he was willing to take it. He felt it was the right thing to do. Ben spent the following evenings consumed by Evergreen Innovations. His small apartment, usually a sanctuary of quiet order, transformed into a makeshift research hub. He frequented the local library, poring over financial statements, market analyses, and reports on Evergreen's patented technology. The glow of the computer screen illuminated his focused expression, his brow furrowed in concentration as he navigated the complexities of the business world. He wasn't a financial expert by any stretch. His knowledge stemmed from years of disciplined saving and a natural curiosity about how the world worked. He'd always been a keen observer, noticing patterns and inefficiencies that others missed. Now, he applied that same meticulousness to understanding Evergreen. He learned about value investing, the principle of finding undervalued assets with strong potential for growth. He saw that Evergreen, despite its current struggles, possessed exactly that. Their technology was groundbreaking, their employees dedicated, but their marketing and sales strategies were clearly lacking. The more Ben learned, the more convinced he became. This wasn't just about saving a company. It was about preserving jobs, supporting the local economy, and unleashing the potential of a truly innovative technology. The thought of the company collapsing, the employees losing their livelihoods, weighed heavily on his mind. He pictured the families who depended on those paychecks, the ripple effect it would have on the small town. But investing his life savings was a terrifying prospect. It represented years of sacrifice, of carefully budgeting and foregoing luxuries. It was his safety net, his security blanket. What if he was wrong? What if Evergreen failed despite his investment? The thought sent a shiver down his spine. He tossed and turned in bed. The weight of the decision pressing down on him, he wrestled with the risk, pacing his small apartment late into the night. On one hand, he could continue his quiet, predictable life, secure in his frugality. On the other, he could take a leap of faith, risk everything for the chance to make a real difference. It was a battle between his cautious nature and his growing sense of responsibility. He considered his parents, who had instilled in him the values of hard work and helping others. They had faced their own financial hardships, but they had always found a way to support their community. He remembered his father's words. "Sometimes, Ben, you have to take a chance to do what's right." That was the turning point. The next morning, Ben walked into his bank, his hands slightly trembling as he filled out the paperwork. He transferred a significant portion of his savings into a brokerage account and purchased Evergreen stocks. It wasn't a huge amount in the grand scheme of things, but it was everything to him. As he walked out of the bank, a sense of both exhilaration and trepidation washed over him. He had taken the plunge. There was no turning back. Meanwhile, at Evergreen Innovations, the atmosphere was thick with anxiety. Rumors of impending layoffs swirled through the office like a dark cloud. Employees whispered in hushed tones, their faces etched with worry. Morale plummeted, and productivity suffered. The uncertainty hung heavy in the air, making it difficult to focus on the tasks at hand. Sarah Chen, the CEO, felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had tried everything to secure funding, but the clock was ticking. She knew that layoffs were inevitable if she couldn't find a solution soon. The thought of letting go of her dedicated employees, people she considered family, was agonizing. During his cleaning rounds, Ben noticed the change in atmosphere. The once vibrant office was now subdued, the air filled with a palpable sense of dread. He saw the strained faces of the employees, the forced smiles that couldn't mask their underlying fear. He overheard snippets of conversations about job searches and financial worries. It strengthened his resolve that he had put his money where his mouth was. He had to do more than just invest. He had to find a way to help turn things around from the inside. The news of the stock purchase, though minimal, reached Sarah's ears. Her assistant, a young woman named Emily, mentioned it in passing. "There was a small purchase of Evergreen stock today, Sarah. Only a few shares, but still, it's something." Sarah frowned. "Who bought them?" Emily checked her computer. According to the records, it was a Benjamin Carter. Sarah didn't recognize the name. "Run a background check," she instructed, intrigued. Later that day, Emily placed a file on Sarah's desk. "Benjamin Carter," Sarah read aloud, "works as a janitor in this building." She leaned back in her chair, a mixture of confusion and curiosity on her face. A janitor investing in her company? It made no sense. Was it a sign of faith or a fool's errand? She had to find out. Ben hesitated outside Sarah Chen's office. He clutched the small notebook filled with his observations and proposed solutions. He knew he was just a janitor, and the CEO was probably busy, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he could help Evergreen Innovations. Taking a deep breath, he straightened his uniform and knocked gently on the door. "Come in." Sarah's voice was crisp, but held a hint of weariness. Ben entered, hat in hand. Sarah looked up from a mountain of papers, her expression guarded. "Ben, isn't it? What can I do for you?" He swallowed, trying to sound confident. "Mrs. Chen, I know you're busy, but I've been thinking about Evergreen. I've noticed a few things during my cleaning shifts, and I have some ideas that might help." Sarah raised an eyebrow, a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. "Ideas? About what, exactly?" About saving money, ma'am, Ben explained, opening his notebook. I've seen some areas where we could be more efficient. For example, he flipped to a page filled with calculations. I noticed we're paying a premium for office supplies. I checked with a few other suppliers, and I think we can negotiate a much better rate. Sarah leaned back in her chair, studying him. And how would you know about office supply rates, Ben? I do a lot of comparison shopping for my own household, Ms. Chen. I'm pretty good at finding deals. He shuffled his feet, feeling a little self-conscious. He chose not to reveal his investment in the company. He didn't need her to think he was doing this for some personal gain. Sarah considered his words. She was used to executives in expensive suits pitching her complex strategies. But there was something disarmingly honest about Ben's approach. She was also desperate. All right, Ben, she said. I'm willing to listen. But I don't have much time. Make it quick. Ben's face lit up. He launched into his suggestions, pointing out areas where the company was wasting resources. He talked about negotiating better rates with the electricity company, suggesting energy-efficient lighting, and even optimizing the cleaning supply orders. He spoke with a practical intelligence that surprised Sarah. And the break room, Ms. Chen, Ben continued. The coffee machine is old and inefficient. It wastes a lot of water and electricity. A new, energy-efficient model would pay for itself in a few months. Sarah was taken aback. He had clearly put a lot of thought into this. These are surprisingly insightful observations, Ben, she admitted. But I'm not sure if I can just implement these changes based on your suggestions. I have a management team for that. I understand, Ms. Chen, Ben said humbly. I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. I just thought I could offer some help, if you'd let me. Maybe I could try implementing a few of these ideas on a trial basis. If they don't work, no harm done. Sarah hesitated. What did she have to lose? The company was on the brink of collapse anyway. All right, Ben, she said finally. I'll give you a shot. Start with the office supplies and the break room. See what you can do. But I'm holding you accountable. If this backfires, it's on you. Ben beamed. Thank you, Ms. Chen. I won't let you down. And he didn't. Ben, balancing his cleaning duties, began implementing his cost-saving measures. He spent his evenings researching suppliers, comparing prices, and negotiating deals. He replaced the old coffee machine with an energy-efficient model, which the employees greatly appreciated. He streamlined the office supply orders, eliminating unnecessary expenses and finding cheaper, yet equally effective, alternatives. He worked tirelessly, driven by his belief in Evergreen and his desire to help the employees. He arrived early and stayed late, cleaning offices and then poring over invoices and spreadsheets. He was a man possessed, fueled by a purpose he never knew he had. The small changes started to have a visible impact. The company's expenses began to decrease, and the savings started to add up. The employees noticed the new coffee machine, the well-stocked supply cabinets, and the general sense of efficiency that permeated the office. Morale improved as they saw tangible evidence that the company was fighting back. Sarah watched Ben's progress with growing astonishment. She had initially dismissed him as a well-meaning but naive janitor, but he was proving to be a valuable asset. He had a knack for finding hidden savings and a relentless work ethic that inspired those around him. One afternoon, Sarah summoned Ben to her office again. Ben, she said, I've been watching what you've been doing. I'm impressed. You've saved the company a significant amount of money in just a few weeks. Ben blushed, uncomfortable with the praise. I just wanted to help, Ms. Chen. Well, you have, Sarah said, leaning forward, and I think you have a lot more to offer. I want to offer you a promotion. Ben's eyes widened. A promotion? To what? I want you to be a junior analyst in the finance department. Sarah explained. "You have a good head for numbers, and you clearly understand how to save money. I think you could be a valuable addition to the team." Ben was stunned. He had never dreamed of working in an office, let alone in the finance department. "Ms. Chen, I don't know what to say. I'm just a janitor. I don't have any formal education." "You have something more important than a fancy degree, Ben," Sarah said, smiling. "You have common sense, a strong work ethic, and a genuine desire to help. Those are qualities you can't learn in school. Besides, I'm willing to mentor you. I see potential in you, Ben." Ben was overwhelmed with gratitude. "Thank you, Ms. Chen," he stammered. I accept. I'll do my best." And he did. Ben threw himself into his new role with the same dedication he had shown as a janitor. He devoured books on finance and accounting, attended online courses, and peppered his colleagues with questions. He was a sponge, absorbing knowledge and applying it to his work. He quickly proved invaluable to the finance department. His ability to identify inefficiencies and find cost-saving measures was unparalleled. He streamlined the budgeting process, improved the accuracy of financial reports, and helped the company make smarter investment decisions. He also brought a fresh perspective to the team. He understood the challenges faced by the employees on the ground floor, and he was able to bridge the gap between management and labor. He was a voice for the working class, ensuring that their needs were considered in the company's decisions. Sarah Chen became his mentor, guiding him through the intricacies of corporate finance and sharing her business acumen. She recognized his raw talent and nurtured his potential. She saw in him a reflection of her younger self, a driven and ambitious individual who was determined to succeed. As Ben excelled in his new role, Evergreen Innovations continued to thrive. The company's financial performance improved dramatically, attracting new investors and securing its long-term future. Ben's initial investment in Evergreen stocks had grown exponentially, transforming him from a frugal janitor into a man of considerable wealth, and he was only just beginning. His simple life was about to change forever. Ben never forgot his humble beginnings. He remained grounded and approachable, treating everyone with respect and kindness. He still packed his lunch, mended his clothes, and tracked his expenses in his notebook. He knew that money could change people, but he was determined not to let it change him. The most important thing for him was to give back to the community. Ben continued to excel in his role as a junior analyst at Evergreen Innovations. He approached his responsibilities with the same meticulousness he had applied to his janitorial duties. But now, instead of scrubbing floors, he was scrubbing data, identifying inefficiencies, and uncovering hidden opportunities for growth. He arrived early each morning, eager to dive into the day's challenges, and stayed late into the evening, poring over financial reports and market trends. He was a sponge, absorbing every piece of information he could get his hands on. Driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge and a deep-seated desire to see Evergreen thrive. To further enhance his business acumen, Ben enrolled in online courses in accounting, finance, and management. He spent his lunch breaks and evenings studying, transforming his small apartment into a makeshift classroom. He devoured textbooks, watched lectures, and completed assignments with unwavering dedication. The concepts were challenging, filled with jargon and complex formulas, but Ben persevered, fueled by the belief that knowledge was the key to unlocking Evergreen's full potential. Sarah Chen, the CEO, took a special interest in Ben's development. She recognized his innate talent and unwavering commitment, and she saw in him a reflection of her own entrepreneurial spirit. She became his mentor, sharing her years of business experience and strategic insights. During their regular meetings, Sarah would patiently explain complex financial concepts, guide Ben through challenging business decisions, and encourage him to think critically and creatively. She challenged him to step outside his comfort zone, to take calculated risks, and to trust his instincts. Their working relationship blossomed into a strong bond of mutual respect and trust. Sarah valued Ben's fresh perspective and his ability to identify opportunities that others had missed. Ben admired Sarah's leadership, her vision, and her unwavering dedication to Evergreen and its employees. They made a formidable team, complementing each other's strengths and supporting each other through challenges. As Ben's knowledge and skills grew, so too did Evergreen's fortunes. His cost-saving initiatives, combined with Sarah's strategic leadership and the innovative technology they were developing, began to yield significant results. The company's financial performance improved dramatically, attracting the attention of investors and industry analysts. Evergreen Innovations, once on the brink of collapse, was now a rising star in the tech world. Ben's initial investment in Evergreen stocks had grown exponentially. The small sum he had risked, his life savings, had transformed into a substantial fortune. He was now a wealthy man, a millionaire, but he remained grounded and humble, unchanged by his newfound wealth. He continued to live in his modest apartment, drove his old car, and maintained the same frugal lifestyle he had always known. The growing wealth also brought a new set of challenges. Ben found himself grappling with complex financial decisions. He sought advice from financial advisors on managing his wealth, diversifying his investments, and planning for the future. He was careful to choose advisors who shared his values and understood his desire to use his wealth for the greater good. He was also careful to maintain a low profile, avoiding the trappings of wealth and the attention that came with it. He didn't want his newfound wealth to change him or to distract him from his mission of helping Evergreen succeed and giving back to his community. One afternoon, Sarah called Ben into her office. "Ben," she said, "I have something important to discuss with you." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Evergreen is thriving, thanks in large part to your contributions. We're expanding, innovating, and making a real difference in the world, and I want you to be a bigger part of it." Sarah offered Ben a senior leadership position within the company, a role that would give him more responsibility, more influence, and more opportunities to shape Evergreen's future. Ben was honored by the offer, but he hesitated. He had never aspired to climb the corporate ladder or to accumulate power and prestige. His primary motivation had always been to help others and to make a positive impact on the world. "Sarah, I'm grateful for this opportunity," Ben said, "but I'm not sure if it's the right fit for me. I'm more interested in using Evergreen's success to help the community." Sarah smiled. "I understand, Ben, and I admire your commitment to giving back. That's why I have another proposal for you." Sarah explained that she wanted to create a profit-sharing program, where a portion of Evergreen's profits would be dedicated to supporting local community initiatives. She asked Ben to lead the program, to identify the most pressing needs in the community, and to develop strategies for addressing them. Ben's eyes lit up. This was exactly the kind of opportunity he had been hoping for. "Sarah, I would be honored to lead that program," he said. "I believe that Evergreen has a responsibility to give back to the community that has supported us." They agreed on a plan. A significant percentage of Evergreen's profits would be allocated to a charitable fund, and Ben would oversee the distribution of those funds to local organizations and initiatives. He would work closely with community leaders, educators, and social workers to identify the most effective ways to make a positive impact. Ben eagerly embraced his new role. He immersed himself in the community, attending town hall meetings, volunteering at local charities, and meeting with residents to understand their challenges and aspirations. Ben negotiated one additional condition. He requested that the profit-sharing arrangement be formalized and legally binding, ensuring that Evergreen's commitment to the community would continue even if leadership changed in the future. As Evergreen's success continued to grow, so too did Ben's personal wealth. He remained committed to his frugal lifestyle, but he also recognized the potential to use his wealth to make a significant difference in the lives of others. He decided to establish a private foundation, the Carter Foundation, dedicated to supporting educational opportunities and providing assistance to underprivileged individuals in his community. It was the next logical step for him to scale his efforts of giving back to the community. Evergreen Innovations, once teetering on the brink of collapse, was now a beacon of prosperity in the small town. The revitalized company hummed with activity, a testament to the innovative spirit it fostered and to the janitor who saw potential where others saw failure. Ben, now financially secure beyond his wildest dreams, hadn't forgotten the anxieties he witnessed during his cleaning shifts, the fear of layoffs etched on the faces of his neighbors. His desire to alleviate that fear, to provide opportunities for others, burned brighter than ever. He sat in his spacious, yet modestly decorated office. The view overlooked the town, a constant reminder of the community that had shaped him. He was no longer Ben Carter, the janitor. He was Ben Carter, the millionaire. But the transformation hadn't changed his core values. He still packed his lunch, still drove his old pickup truck, and still found joy in the simple things. His focus now was on realizing his vision, the Carter Foundation. The paperwork was finalized, the board of directors, a mix of community leaders and trusted colleagues, assembled. The mission was clear: to provide educational opportunities and support to underprivileged individuals in the community. The foundation launched its first initiative, a scholarship program for local students pursuing higher education. Ben insisted the application process focused not only on academic merit, but also on the applicant's character, their commitment to their community, and their demonstrated perseverance in the face of adversity. He wanted to invest in individuals who, like him, possessed the drive to overcome obstacles and make a positive impact. The response was overwhelming. Applications poured in, each telling a story of resilience and hope. Ben personally reviewed every application, his heart touched by the aspirations of these young people. He remembered his own struggles, the limitations imposed by his financial circumstances, and he was determined to break down those barriers for others. Next came the vocational training programs. Ben understood that not everyone desired a 4-year college degree. He wanted to provide alternative pathways to success, equipping individuals with practical skills that would enable them to secure stable employment and build fulfilling careers. The foundation partnered with local businesses to offer training in fields like carpentry, plumbing, and electrical work, ensuring the programs aligned with the needs of the local economy. One afternoon, Ben visited the construction site of a new affordable housing complex, a project partially funded by the Carter Foundation. He watched as young apprentices, fresh out of the foundation's carpentry program, skillfully framed walls and installed windows. He saw in their eyes the same spark of hope that had driven him to invest in Evergreen Innovations. He knew he was making a difference. The foundation also established a microloan program for aspiring entrepreneurs. Ben believed in the power of small businesses to revitalize communities and create jobs. He wanted to provide aspiring business owners with the capital they needed to turn their dreams into reality. Maria Rodriguez, a single mother who had always dreamed of opening a bakery, was one of the first recipients of a microloan. With the foundation's support, she was able to lease a small storefront and purchase the necessary equipment. Ben attended the grand opening of Maria's Sweet Treats, and he beamed with pride as he watched Maria serve her delicious pastries to a line of eager customers. The impact of the Carter Foundation was palpable throughout the community. Graduation rates increased, unemployment declined, and a renewed sense of optimism permeated the town. Ben's generosity had not only transformed individual lives, but had also revitalized the entire community. One evening, the town held a gala to honor Ben for his contributions. Sarah Chen, now a close friend and mentor, stood beside him on the stage. The mayor presented Ben with a community award, recognizing his extraordinary achievements and philanthropic endeavors. Sarah spoke eloquently about Ben's journey, highlighting his unwavering dedication, his insightful thinking, and his profound commitment to giving back. "Ben is a true inspiration to us all," she said. "He embodies the spirit of hard work, perseverance, and generosity. He has shown us that anyone, regardless of their background, can achieve their dreams and make a positive impact on the world." Ben, characteristically humble, accepted the award with gratitude. "I am deeply honored to receive this recognition," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "But I want to emphasize that this is not about me. It's about all of us, working together to build a stronger, more vibrant community. It's about creating opportunities for everyone to reach their full potential. And it's about remembering that true wealth lies not in what we accumulate, but in what we give back." As the applause subsided, Ben looked out at the faces in the crowd, his neighbors, his colleagues, his friends. He saw in their eyes a reflection of his own journey, a journey that had taken him from the humble role of a janitor to the fulfilling role of a philanthropist. Later that night, sitting on the porch of his modest home, Ben reflected on his life. He thought about his parents, who had instilled in him the values of hard work, honesty, and compassion. He thought about Sarah, who had believed in him and given him the opportunity to prove himself. And he thought about the community that had supported him every step of the way. He realized that his true wealth wasn't measured in dollars and cents, but in the positive impact he had made on the lives of others. He had come a long way from cleaning offices to changing lives, and he knew that his journey was far from over. Sarah also reflected on Ben's journey. She was proud of the company, but more proud of Ben. She had learned just as much from him as he had learned from her. His simple approach to problems, his dedication, and his unwavering belief in people had changed her. She now made it a point to mentor young employees, to look for potential in unexpected places, and to ensure that Evergreen Innovations was not just a successful company, but a force for good in the community. She understood that true leadership was about empowering others and embracing innovation with a sense of social responsibility. She knew that Evergreen Innovations would continue to thrive, not just because of its innovative technology, but because of the culture of compassion and opportunity that Ben had instilled. Ben continued to live modestly, driving his old pickup truck and packing his lunch every day. He remained actively involved in the Carter Foundation, personally mentoring scholarship recipients and visiting the businesses that had received microloans. He understood that his role was not just to provide financial support, but also to offer guidance, encouragement, and a listening ear. He often said that the greatest reward of his success was seeing others succeed. He found joy in witnessing the transformation of lives, in seeing young people achieve their dreams, and in knowing that he had played a part in making it all possible. Ben Carter's story became a local legend, a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of financial literacy, and the transformative impact of giving back. He had proven that anyone, regardless of their background, could achieve financial success and make a lasting positive impact on the world. He was no longer just Ben Carter, the janitor turned millionaire. He was Ben Carter, the embodiment of the American dream, a symbol of hope and inspiration for generations to come.